Hey, all, Rick Moore here. As some of you may know, especially those of you who've known me for a long time, I was a professional musician here in Las Vegas for a number of years, and I also played back in the Midwest, back in the Iowa, Illinois, Quad Cities where I'm from. Played for a minute in Nashville, and then about 20 years ago I was stricken with a disease called Meniere's disease. It's like an inner ear disease in the back of your head, and the most common symptom of that is vertigo, which I have very extreme vertigo. When I have an attack of this, I can fall over and not be able to walk for days from it, from the dizziness. But I also have a number of other symptoms, uncontrollable vomiting, uncontrollable sweating, hearing loss, which I've never gotten over that, tinnitus, which is really loud tinnitus, like hee. And another symptom I have is something that's kind of rare but not unusual, which is a symptom called Diplacusis. And what Diplacusis is where your ears don't each hear the same musical note. You hear two different notes, and that's like death for a musician. And I'll explain what that is a little bit. Like, for instance, that note there is a C. Everybody hears a C. My ears are fine today, so I hear a C with both ears. But at any time that can change, and my right ear might hear a C, and my left ear will hear a B. My ears don't always hear the same note. It can be somewhere between those two notes, or just anywhere in between. My ears are out of tune, my head's out of tune. So playing the guitar, I can have my guitar tuned perfectly and I'll think it's out of tune, or I can be out of tune and think it's in tune. So that doesn't exactly do too much for your career if you're a professional musician, if you can't play or sing, although I've really never been noted for my vocal ability anyway. So a few years ago I did a video about this, and a gentleman recently wrote to me and asked me if I would do kind of a follow-up to it. So that's what I'm doing. This guy who wrote to me has acquired Diplacusis and can no longer work as a musician, and he's pretty heartbroken, and I understand. So I lived in Nashville. I went for many years to Vanderbilt University Medical Center, to the various audiologists and ENTs and whomever there, to try to figure out what to do about this. And it's possible, but not probable. The problem may actually not even be my ear. It may have something to do with the auditory center of my brain. And I had my head MRI'd a couple times. Here's that MRI, one of those MRIs. They did it once, and they said there was nothing wrong with my brain. And I told them that wasn't possible, considering the things I did in the 70s. So I asked them to do it again. But supposedly there's nothing wrong with my brain either. It's probably my ear. So for about the past year, I really made a concerted effort to sit down every day and play the guitar or the piano or whatever, trying to figure out how to reverse this problem, how to try to get it back to normal. And sad to report that the doctors were all correct when they said that probably was never going to happen. I do know one guy in Nashville, a real famous musician, who had exactly the same symptoms as me, the Meniere's, of the falling over, heaving, and the ear thing. But he got to be in his 70s and his Diplacusis went away, and he was actually able to go back into the studio and play on some #1 records again. So God bless him, but that hasn't been the case with me. Now, something that I do, the way I try to take care of myself as far as the Meniere's disease goes with the vertigo and everything, my biggest trigger for that is too much sodium. I stay away from sodium, MSG. There's so much salt in everything as there is. I don't need to put any on anything. And another thing that's bad for some people is caffeine, although that's never really been a problem for me. And just overall, a way to take care of it is the normal things you do to try to take care of yourself. Don't overdo it. Try to get enough sleep, get some exercise, just the things in general that you should do, especially as you get older. Now, people who think they're tone deaf, I mean, that's just an expression, but they really may be. They really may have this Diplacusis. So maybe they can sit down at a piano, and if there's any way that they have any sense of pitch to begin with, and figure out if that's the case. If they have vertigo with their tone deafness, then it's very possible that they have Meniere's disease. So as I mentioned, this gentleman wrote to me, wanted to know if I would kind of do a follow-up to the previous video to talk about any progress I've made or anything like that, and the answer is no. I've made no progress. I still have it, and had to give up playing for a living and went into music journalism and giving lessons. I can teach and doing behind the scenes work in the concert field and that type of thing, and I have a lot of original material that I've written and recorded that's out there on Spotify and iTunes and wherever that you can stream and people can stream, and I'm not going to say it sounds all that great or it's the best quality by any means, but as much as I don't really like the internet, it has provided an option for people like me to actually get our music out there whether anybody likes it or not. I mean, if somebody clicks on me and says this guy sucks, well, at least I just made 1/100th of a penny for it, because that's about all you get. So it's better than nothing. So anyway, that's about it. I just wanted to do the follow-up for that gentleman, and for anybody who may have Meniere's or the Diplacusis problem. And I want to thank you for listening, and you all have a good day.